So I had put my 3 Taylor Swift CDs in my bag, right? I have Evermore and Folklore because it's autumn and I want to listen to these records for the autumn, okay? And I put the new record, Life of a Showgirl, in my bag. But that was kind of a mistake because look at these. There's a crack on this one and there's a crack on this one. And I'm really bummed out about it. And I know you can like get a replacement case, but still, you know, I bought these. I like to see them in pristine condition. But let's talk about this one. My expectations, well, first I should mention how I see Tortured Poets Department. I thought The Life of a Showgirl was going to be the true post-Eras Tour record. Now, the real post-Eras Tour record was the Tortured Poets Department. And what I told myself was the Tortured Poet Department, if you know about, you know, a little bit about the Taylor lore, she was first with Joe Alwyn. I think it was like a 7-year-long relationship. Then they broke up, and then she rebounded with Matt Healy. Matt Healy, of course, picked up some controversy over something that he said about his porn habits. Her fans were really, really loud about how inappropriate his porn habits were. And that seemed to have caused Matt Healy to dump her, ghost her. We don't know what happened, right? But we do know that she did love him. But then after the drama with her fans and the things that he said, racism against Ice Spice and his porn addictions, we can assume that the controversy got so much for him, at least the Swifties, and he ghosted her. He dumped her very, very quickly. So it was a very quick relationship, but he loved him. And immediately after being dumped, she went into the Eras Tour. And it's during the Eras Tour, she starts a relationship with Travis Kelce. So what's happening here, going from a 7-long-year relationship with a man and that not working out for whatever reason, then going into a man, falling in love with a different man immediately after, again, a rebound of sorts. And then that rebound dumping you, and then you're with a whole new man who now we know she's engaged to. All that quickly, and in between that, you had a whole Eras Tour. She never got to process the Joe relationship and the Matt Healy relationship properly. Okay, I assume she didn't get to process that properly, at least not artistically. And that is what the Torture Department Poets Torture Department record is. That is why it is the post-Eras Tour. That is why it is the post-Eras Tour record. I see it as a clearinghouse record where she just dumps all songs that she has written about, you know, the emotion and confusion. And a lot of criticism she received about those records is how long it is and how unorganized it is. But I respected and appreciated it for those reasons. I feel like the disorganization and length of the Tortured Poets Department really captures what she was going through, the emotion she was going through and suppressing to still be there in the Eras Tour, right? I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. I think it captures that really, really well. And it's her musically, artistically, letting it go, saying what she needs to say before we get to the real post-Eras Tour record, which I thought was going to be Life of a Showgirl. Oh, no, don't crack again. We're good. And seeing that by the name and the marketing, The Life of a Showgirl, I assumed, The Life of a Showgirl was an alter ego record. An alter ego that was birthed through her experiences during the Eras Tour. That concept I thought she was running with is what got me excited to buy the record with no singles out, okay? I fully trusted that the product would fulfill the expectations that I had, okay? And finally listening to it, did it? No, it did not. It did not. And during the first listen, I was severely disappointed that it did not. I did not like it because of how severely it goes against my expectations of a pop record. Okay, basically, I was going to get 1984 style beats, but in the Life of a Showgirl theme. I was going to get the shimmer. Was it shimmer again? If you walk in the room, da 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 da. We're gonna get a whole album of that kind of pop song with that kind of style sonically. That is what Life of a Showgirl was going to be. And it's going to be beautiful, sparkly, flashy, and very dynamic. Not meeting my expectations, it sucks, but it's also okay. So what does that mean? That just means that I have to release those expectations, right? And then when I fully release it, reapproach the record as Taylor intended it, right? Because I was too busy being disappointed, all I could hear was my expectations not being met. Now that I'm over that, I can hear what she intended this to be. And I did that. And do I like it? I like it a little more, but I still think it's a very, very weak record. And I want to go track by track, just explaining why that is so. We are in a new location because my battery died. And by the time my battery charged, I had to go back to work. So I'm in a new hotel and I'm going to continue. Let's start with the first track, The Fate of Ophelia. Ophelia is a Shakespeare character who drowns herself after she is jilted by Hamlet and after Hamlet, you know, kills her father. And a lot of people are criticizing Taylor for this because they say that she is missing the point of Ophelia. Ophelia killed herself from the lack of agency in her life, a woman in that time. And I just think, I find that to be a feminist point of view that's valid, but not what Shakespeare directly intended. So I feel like what we're supposed to understand at the end of the day is that a man did jilt Ophelia and also killed her father, and she ended her life because of that. And there's also some probability that she was pregnant with Hamlet's child after being jilted. So, you know, it felt like her life was over and she made it over. Okay, and I don't see anything necessarily wrong with Taylor Swift, who was also jilted by her lover, Matt Healy, out of the blue, just like Hamlet did Ophelia, to be in this state in her love life at the age that she was jilted, to be put in emotional state, okay, with her love life that Travis Kelce very quickly saved her from and be the most positive partner she's ever had. You know, as he said, he has described him as having depth without darkness, which I think could be quite different from what she experienced with Matt Healy or even Joe Alwyn. So I just see nothing wrong with this song, okay? When it comes to it simply as a song, it's a standard pop song for me. It does somewhat fulfill my expectations of what I thought Life of a Showgirl will be. But am I endeared to the song as a pop song? No, I am not. Elizabeth Taylor is my favorite in the track. Like all girl nerds, I definitely had a 20th century phase. I definitely had my Elizabeth Taylor phase where you just intake so many details about her. Just to go down in my credentials, I saw A Place in the Sun. I like it. Father of the Bride. Cleopatra, of course. The movie Giant with Rock Hudson. What else is there? There's other movies. Oh, I know that she was in the 20th century version, the mid 20th century version of Little Women. So yeah, I was a Elizabeth Taylor fanatic, and I took in so many details about her many husbands, exactly what went down with her husband, especially the part where she took her husband from, I forgot her name, but I know her last name was Fisher. Amy Fisher, not Amy Fisher, that's somebody else. Out of grief because he was there to heal her from her grief with her last husband, you know, who gifted her diamonds because she loved diamonds. All these details. And of course, there's the details of her having double eyelids and her having eyes so blue, they appear violet. You can just flat out just call them violet eyes. As an Elizabeth Taylor lore nerd at some point in my life, I was really excited to hear this song and very pleased with what I heard. And basically what Taylor Swift is doing is she says that if your letters ever say goodbye, that she will cry her eyes violet. Taylor Swift has blue eyes. She has a shade of blue eyes where I can definitely imagine that if she were to cry, if she were to cry and her whole eyes redden, it will appear very violet, compared to their natural color. So I can definitely picture that in my head. I thought it was really interesting how she references Elizabeth Taylor like that. Cry my eyes violet, Elizabeth Taylor. Overall, I think this song was very beautiful and vulnerable. I love the boom thrashing of the instrumentals and absolutely how she closed the song. All my white diamonds and lovers are forever. Don't you ever end up anything but mine. That's my favorite part, and how she says that part. It's a feather drift of a plea among the boom thrashing that's happening amongst the instrumentals. And I think it's very pretty, very romantic, very romantically vulnerable. I like Elizabeth Taylor. Next on the record was the song Opalite. And what an opalite is a man-made glass resin with an iridescent appearance that resembles opals. It's made from dolomite and metals fused together to create an opalescent effect, okay? That is what an opalite is. It's a man-made glass resin with an iridescent appearance. Okay, and that goes into why I like the song, because the song is essentially about making your own sunshine. Okay, it's about making, instead of waiting for good things to naturally happen, you bring it together with your own willpower. Instead of waiting for things to happen to you naturally, you make it happen by your own hands, by your own design. Opalite. This is a conceptually strong song. Am I endeared to it? I'm endeared to it more than the Fate of Ophelia, that's for sure. Okay, I just recognize it. It's a solid song. Next is Father Figure. I would liken it to the way We Are Young, Pumped Up Kicks, and Everybody Wants to Rule the World in how it's structured. The structure being the message being disturbing, but the delivery being very light and upbeat. And a lot of people have references, again, have their ideas to what Father Figure is. One thing that I'm stuck on is the idea that Father Figure is about her body of work, her discography. Okay, and the drama she had with that was Scooter Braun, right? Basically, two men in the industry was selling her masters to her discography while she was building up to get her to buy her own masters, and that pissed her off. And as a strategy, she started releasing Taylor's versions of her records, okay, to make those records less viable. And it's particularly the lyrics that I have the place surrounded. You'll be swimming with the fishes before you know you're drowning, right? It's that line that made me solidly think that it is about her strategy, that this is the strategy that she took on to get a hold of her work, to protect her work. I think she sees her discography, her 12 albums, as her family. When she says, I protect the family, she's speaking of herself as a father figure to somebody else in her industry. It could mean somebody else in that way, but I do think what's inspiring this song is essentially her body of work and people who have been a threat to her body of work and her mindset towards it, which is I protect the family, and her being willing to do anything to protect her family, to protect her material, her property. And in that case, I like it. I think Father Figure completely meets my expectations on the kind of music that Taylor Swift should be making in this point of her career and in this point of who she is, right? She's is of the American sweetheart archetype, but she has grown in power in a way where, the American sweetheart archetype and the alpha female archetype doesn't really clash together. Okay, so I feel like she has grown to that. She is obviously an alpha female. She is a high-powered woman in her industry. As of right now, she has beaten the Adele record, selling over 2 million records in the first week. She can't keep that American sweetheart that image anymore. And I feel like the Father Figure was the kind of song that matches who she is now. Probably the only song that matches how I expect her to approach music now. The only song in the record, I mean. Next is Actually Romantic, and Actually Romantic is this Y2K garage band of a diss track that I did not care for to receive from a Taylor Swift in this point of her career. I didn't. And people say that it's a shot at Charlie XCX, Sympathy is a Knife reference that she made of her. And I feel it could be. It would make more sense to suspect that someone in the industry is talking shit behind her back, and she's just responding to that. And whatever's inspiring this song, whether it's Charlie XCX or what I think, my question stands, what does this have to do with the life of a showgirl? Is this a look-see into backstage drama? If so, I feel like there was a better, more on-theme way to craft this diss track, and I feel like its presence in the record was a disrespect to my money. I genuinely feel that way. I did not care for this record at all, for Actually Romantic at all, this track. Next in the record was Ruin the Friendship. Basically, she tells a story in the song and it ends with her giving advice to ruin the high school friendship because you never know if the boy you wanted to kiss in high school would die. And have you wondering, you know, what if I did kiss you? And I feel like this would have been a stronger what if story if the tragic tale was set in college, because as women tend to meet their husbands in college, it just gives more sense to have a what if about men then. And I usually give grace to Taylor Swift despite her niche being womanhood, because she never had a college campus experience to draw from. I could understand that she is avoiding being inauthentic in her music, but that grace is wearing thin, seeing that she's writing another high school throwback song in her work at this point in her life. I don't think she's aware that she's at a point in her life, right? She's 35, where it is a little weird how she can only throw back to high school. Throwing back to college makes more sense for when her age than throwing back to high school. Also, ruin the friendship for a relationship with a man is terrible advice. And on that note, let's skip to cancel because there's something I want to say about Taylor's morality on this record. I had to go downstairs to get my Uber Eats because the guy couldn't bother to come upstairs to deliver it. And I have 45 minutes to get ready for work. So if I sound cranky, it's because I am. And I'm warning you right now, I might just have to not refilm the video, but continue filming another location. So canceled. I like canceled because being a successful woman does sound scary, okay? And one wrong mistake, which is maybe make a mistake with one of your fans, make a mistake in just having the wrong idea sometimes, the whole ground gets pulled out under you. Like you're a whole criminal, okay? And it does directly affect somebody's hierarchy of needs. You went from having community and having admiration, community validation and admiration, to making a slight mistake and losing all of that. A mistake or being framed to look a certain way. For example, let's use how Taylor Swift got canceled with Kanye and Kim. Taylor Swift had a private communication with Kanye and Kim, but Kanye and Kim was in New York. And in New York, it is completely legal to record somebody, okay? But Taylor Swift expressly had a problem with being called a bitch. She did not give her permission to being called a bitch. That's a communication issue. That's a simple communication issue. But instead, because they released that video where she gave permission for the song, people just called Taylor Swift a snake, a manipulator. She just got tons of hate. Okay, while it's very, very clear that she did not give permission being called a bitch. She did not give permission for being called a bitch. She did not like that. And nor is she from, right, Kanye West culture where being called a bitch is a positive thing. So that's expressly what's going on. The miscommunication that was happening between Kanye West and Taylor Swift. And instead of that miscommunication being handled, you know, in a normal way, it's being handled on the world stage. And now Taylor Swift, you know, for simply being upset and expressively upset about being called a bitch, is suddenly seeing herself being canceled, being called a slave, being called manipulator, being called just all these things. Okay. And I bet she did not expect that, for it to come at her in that way, like being made the worst person alive. With that, you lose a sense of community, right? Because in her community, Hollywood, when you have bad PR, other people don't want to hang around you. It can be really, really traumatizing. And that's not me, you know, trying to feel sorry for a rich billionaire, but the truth is the truth. Losing your community over the simplest thing can traumatize you. And what Taylor Swift is positioning, how Taylor Swift's positioning herself in this song, she's saying that she is going to be somebody still willing to offer community to women that get canceled in that way. And canceled in the way where people are overexcited to cancel you because you are a bitch to somebody at that one point in time, right? The JLo situation, where there's a video of her where she's walking up the stairs and somebody says, they ask her what she's wearing, and JLo just answers while walking up the stairs. And because the way she answered it gave off a bad vibe to people, people took it as further sign that JLo is such a bitch. Like, I saw that video so many times as proof. And that's how it is. If a man was walking up the stairs, was preoccupied walking up the stairs, and somebody asked, what are you wearing? And he said what he's wearing while going up, will we be interpreting him, you know, will we be dissecting his tone as being friendly or not, and using that as evidence to why he deserves A, B, C results? That is how we take information on celebrity women and assess whether they're deserving of community or not, and that will fuck with your brain. And how Taylor Swift is positioning herself, being someone who is willing to offer community to somebody who was canceled, right? She won't turn on you like other members of Hollywood would to save her own skin, which I think is conceptually really strong, conceptually very, very sweet thing to hear. At your worst, Taylor Swift will still give you community. However, there is a verse that has me question her sense of morality. Okay, like there's a if I can find it, this is the verse. If you can't be good, then just be better at it. Everyone's got bodies in the attic, or took somebody's man. Everyone does not have bodies in the attic. Everyone does not take people's man. But then she says, soon you'll learn the art of never getting caught. So that kind of disturbed me. It's one thing to offer community to somebody who is being canceled in a witch hunt kind of way. No proof, weak evidence, unfair evidence, and then seeing everything that they worked for, everything that they built for, being torn apart. Because they're basically being torn apart for being a human being, okay? It's one thing to be willing to give somebody community through that. It's another thing to give community to somebody who is truly deplorable, okay? So is Taylor Swift likening being canceled to today's climate as a witch hunt, or is she presenting herself as a Blackbeard person, a Blackbeard type? Okay, is she promoting even giving community to the most contemptible of personalities? That very verse about taking somebody's man or keeping eggs in the closet. I'm sorry, and right, if you can't be good, just be better at it. That really confuses the message for me. With that said, I want to just point that out about 3 songs in Taylor Swift's record. I liked Canceled. I liked Father Figure. I didn't like Ruin the Friendship, but from all of them, I noticed that Taylor Swift is revealing a terrible sense of morality in this record. A sense of morality that's very Trumpian to me. And I have heard people say that this record is MAGA coded, but they are interpreting it as MAGA coded in the sense that she is promoting the trad wife lifestyle, trad wife values. And where are they getting this from? They're getting this from a line in Wood. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not the song Wood. It's the song Wish List. That's where I was confused. Right. So Wish List. Have a couple kids, have the whole block looking like you. Tell the world to leave us the fuck alone. And they do. Wow. Got me dreaming about a driveway with a basketball hoop. People are saying that this is her, promoting trad wife life. I don't see that. All I hear is somebody who is expressly in love with somebody and wants to have kids with them. That's not that's not what's MAGA coded here. What I say is MAGA coded is the Trumpian moral code she is expressing in 3 songs: Father Figure, Canceled, and Ruin the Friendship. And I think it's very interesting to see the times reflect in Taylor Swift's music in that way. And slightly more disturbing, seeing that she considers this record to be a comeback into making happy records, happy pop records. I just think that's interesting. I think that's what's particularly MAGA coded about this record. Okay, another track we can talk about is Honey. Travis calls Taylor honey in his podcast with his brother, specifically that episode, I believe, where she was announcing the life of a showgirl. she was making a comment, I believe, about his jacket. She liked it, and he said, "It's the color of your eyes, honey." And the way that she smiled was really, really cute. Okay, I can definitely understand her being influenced to write this song. I personally have not been called honey, other than older men who I believe just come from a time where you can call women who are strangers to you honey. Okay, so I get what she's trying to say. It's really cute. However, the song doesn't really stand out to me. When I'm listening to the record and is getting to that song, I skip it because I just cannot stand to just sit there and listen to it. The structure is boring, you know, and maybe if I would stop feeling that way and actually let myself sit down and listen to it, maybe it would grow on me, but that is generally how I feel. It's a skip for me. Wishlist just sounds like a non-Christmassy version of All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. The listing of luxurious things that people want was really obnoxious for me. And again, I like it. Oh, sorry. I get the structure of the song. But again, what she was listing was really, really weird. So basically she say, oh, they want a fat ass with the baby face. They want it. Oh, she was just listing a bunch of luxury goods. And she was saying, all I want is you, though. And maybe if the listing of what people wanted was in a way that strikes as familiar, strikes as not relatable. What am I looking for? Strikes as relevant to the everyday person, you know? In a way that would impress me. Fat ass with a baby face. Not everybody wants the fat ass with a baby face. What are you talking about? You know? So because the listing was weak, when she goes into I just want you, I wasn't really feeling it. I did love help a couple kids have the whole block looking like you. It's really cute. It's really fuzzy and cute. I did like that, but I just didn't like, you know, the build up into that chorus. I didn't like it. The song wasn't as strong as I feel like it could have been. Okay, so I ran out of time and I had to go back to work. So I'm going to continue this video in another hotel. But in the meantime, I will be listening to Life of a Showgirl to see what other songs are on my list and make sure I have an accurate review of them. Hi, I'm in Iowa. A whole new hotel room. Yay! And I ordered pizza from Uber Eats. I hope it gets here on time. But let's continue. Let's continue what we were talking about, okay? So let's see. Fate of Ophelia, Elizabeth Taylor, Opalite, Father Figure, Eldest Daughter, Ruined the Friendship, Actually Romantic, Wish List. What did I say about Wish List? I said that I didn't like the list. I didn't like the listing. It was weird. Let's talk about Wood. You know, I have to listen to Wood again. Actually, never mind. I don't have to listen to Wood again. Okay? I know I don't like it. She's talking about, we know what she's talking about in the song Wood, but I don't like the instrumentals. I don't like the Jackson 5. I forgot how you said the word interpolation. It sounds like a Jackson 5 song, and I don't like that about a song about, you know, your man's phallus. But I understand why it's structured the way it is, right? Again, Taylor Swift has a lot of moms in her fan base. You know, I'm pretty sure she observed in the Eras tour that it was moms and their children, women who grew up with her and their children at her show. So she wanted to create a record knowing that these mothers are probably going to play the record out loud while they're dealing with their children. You know, she wants to say something adult, but still that the kids can't understand, right? The kids doesn't know that the word wood is also slang for phallus. So yeah, so I understand it, but do I like it? No, I don't like it. You know, and I don't mind her being demure about her sex life. Obviously, you can see in my word choices, I'm trying to not say the D word or the P word. I'm not always comfortable just saying words outright, although I think you have heard me cuss a little bit. So I get it, but again, it wasn't appealing. I feel like there's another way to reference sex and be clever and appealing, and she's just not hitting it. And I don't know, because I'm thinking, is she able to hit it? Has she shown me before in her lyricism that she's able to achieve it? Or was that delusion in my part? Am I to actually accept that she is limited in this area? That's where I am. So let's talk about Eldest Daughter. I'm not a bad bitch and I'm not a savage, but I'm never gonna let you down. Never gonna leave you out. I'm not fond of this. I'm not fond of modern slang like this being used in a slower Taylor Swift song. You know, Taylor Swift song, what makes her great is it can have this element of timeliness. So her using slang words kind of breaks again what makes her song quality, what gives her brand quality. Okay, that's number one. Number two, one thing I should mention, people feel that Bad Bitch and Savage is a reference to Kayla Nicole, who does fit the bad bitch aesthetic in her appearance, okay? The Instagram baddie bad bitch aesthetic. And along with that, they also feel, they know, I'm pretty sure, we're sure that that she keeps making references to Kayla Nicole also in the lyrics for, I believe it was Opalite, right? Where she was saying, oh, she was just a pose, always on her phone. And here's what I have to say about that, about the references to Kayla Nicole, okay? I'm going to throw it all the way back to You Belong With Me, all right? You Belong With Me, and let's actually bring out the lyrics. You're on the phone with your girlfriend, she's upset. She's going off about something that you said, 'cause she doesn't get your humor like I do. What did he say? Okay, what did he say? Well, she's antagonizing a man's girlfriend as if she doesn't have the right to be angry at him for what he said. She does have that right. She's his girlfriend. And what did he say? We don't know what he said, but if he says something that makes her angry, we can assume that it's rational, right? He said a joke. He said something humorous that made her angry. He probably made a joke about her. He probably negged her. It sounds like he negged her. And she has the right to be angry about that. She has the right to have boundaries. Okay, and let's go to the chorus, right? She wears high heels, I wear sneakers. She is shirt captain, and I'm on the bleachers, dreaming about the day when you wake up and find that what you're looking for has been here the whole time. So it's already been talked about in the beginning that You Belong With Me is a lyrically not weak but lyrically young song. It shows immaturity, but it was okay because, let's see, how old was Taylor Swift? How old was Taylor? She was 18 years old. See, You Belong With Me is an okay song to write when you're a teenager. When you're 18, you are at the appropriate age where you are comparing yourself to girls in these ways and feeling insecure. That's completely fine. That's completely normal. It's after 25 where it's expected how you approach a love song. You're not making reference to the other girl. Okay, unless she's the other woman, there is no reason to write songs making reference to the other girl. If you are to make a reference to another girl that a man is seeing, then you have to approach it with some kind of nuance. And I can use an example in the word taste, right? Sabrina Carpenter, hers, you're back together. I know it's true, but you'll have to taste me when he's kissing you. This is an example of referencing the other girl in a clever, interesting way, right? We can tell she's not happy about it, and she's getting a sense of revenge by saying, well, you're gonna have to taste me when he's kissing you because he was with me and he was all over me, you know? But deep down, we understand that she's really, really upset that he went back to her right after being with Sabrina, okay? This is how you reference the other woman. You have to be interesting. And what's disappointing to me about Taylor Swift is that she's over 25 and she still finds the other woman. She still finds a man's girlfriend referenceable. I do not think Kayla Nicole should be referenced anywhere in this record. There is no reason to reference her. She is an ex-girlfriend from 2 years back in her life. In his life, and the way she references her, right? Let's talk about the way she references her. Opalite. Okay, you couldn't understand it, why you felt alone. You were in it for real. She was on her phone and you were just a pose. And there was recently a video that came out, right, showing what Taylor was talking about, Kayla Nicole being on her phone. But what Kayla Nicole being on her phone and Travis not being happy about it. But what Kayla Nicole says in that video is, maybe if you paid more attention to me, I wouldn't be on my phone. Now, we don't have to decide if this is an okay thing to say or if this is a valid excuse for being on your phone and ignoring Trav, or an invalid. What matters is there's a nuanced reason why Kayla Nicole is on her phone. Okay, what Taylor Swift wants to do is antagonize her along with Travis for being on her phone and completely ignore any sense of nuance that was going on in her relationship. And in the same way she does in You Belong With Me. You're on the phone with your girlfriend, she's upset, she's going off about something that you said because she doesn't get your humor like I do. Okay, this is what she does. What did he say? And who are you to say that what he said wasn't a valid reason for her to get upset? That's his girlfriend. She wears high heels, I wear sneakers, she is cheer captain on, and I'm on the bleachers, dreaming about the day when you wake up and find that what you're looking for has been here the whole time. I remember reading on Tumblr criticisms of Taylor Swift upholding the Madonna whore complex and upholding herself as the Madonna and the girl's boyfriend as the boy's girlfriend as the whore in this song. What's disturbing about Taylor Swift is You Belong With Me, we can assume was a made-up story. It's a made-up story where she's expressing this mentality. In Opalite and in Eldest Daughter, I'm not a savage, I'm not a bad bitch, but I'm never gonna let you down, never gonna leave you out, okay? She is still doing this. She's still observing who she is not compared to other girls and uplifting herself, expressing herself as a deeper lover than the bad bitch and the savage type of girl who fits the aesthetic. She's gonna love you deep. She's the deeper lover. And that's what I do not like. That's what I do not like. That's what's disturbing, because now she's referencing a real life woman and saying that she was a shallow lover for you. You were just opposed to her, and saying, but I'm gonna love you deeper than her. Who are you to say that, Taylor Swift? Who are you to say that her love is shallow and yours is not? You don't know her. You are not in that relationship. You are not experiencing the relationship through her eyes. You are in a whole new relationship. Okay? You are the new girl, right? You're the one now in a relationship with him. You shouldn't even find the last girl referenceable. That's what's killing me. The same immaturity she was expressing as an 18-year-old in You Belong With Me, okay, antagonizing the girl, insisting that she is not as deep as her. She's shallow. She wears high heels. She was cheer captain. Okay, I'm on the bleachers, but dream of the day. She is still doing that years later in a real life scenario. And I find that deeply, deeply, deeply disturbing. That she's capable of that. That she has not really grown the way I thought she has grown as an artist from You Belong With Me, a song she wrote when she was 18. And that's what I have to say about that verse in Eldest Daughter and that verse in Opalite. She was just opposed. You were just opposed to her. I really, really wish that this record had no reference to who Travis dated in the past. Only music about their relationship as it is now. And I want to make it clear that I do not mind. Taylor Swift is coming out of a 7-year relationship and then a short stint with Matt Healy into now an engagement with this man. Okay? This man is coming from an on and off relationship with Kayla Nicole to an engagement with her. I do not mind her wanting to reference that to acknowledge where they were and how they are now. And how they are now is a surer thing than where they were with their other partners. But there's a way to do that maturely. There's a way to do that without referencing the other woman as a less deeper lover than she is. You don't know her to say that. Now, the last song on the record was Life of a Showgirl. The only song that references a showgirl and starring Sabrina Carpenter. I had high hopes. I had high hopes. This is going to be the showgirl relevant song, right? And it's going to sonically sound like a fantastic pop song. Okay. I accepted my disappointment on the first listening to it. I accepted, okay, this is not what it's going to be, but this is not what I thought it was going to be. but it will be in the actual title song, Love with Showgirl. And that's not what it was. It was the Love with Showgirl was even slower, slower and more winded down than the previous songs, which is hilarious. Okay, like it was hilariously disappointing. I still remember, if I remember the lyrics, her name was Kitty. She was pretty and witty. She had the keys to the city. It was something like that. Nursery rhyme lyrics. No. And I don't mind the name Kitty because I'm reading Anna Karenina, and there's a character named Kitty. Also, Anne Frank names her diary Kitty. So assuming that, Taylor Swift consumes the same culture as I do, in old literature, Kitty seems to be a very popular nickname, so I'm not offended by Kitty. It's just the rhyming. It's just the rhyming she chose to make with it. Okay. What else can I say about that song? Oh, yes. And the production is very Broadway style. Very Broadway style. But it's obviously a closing track. It's more of a closing track than a track that you listen and repeat. A track that plays on the radio. It's obviously meant to be there as a closing track. And I'm not hot about it. I'm not crazy about it. My battery is dying. No, I didn't pack extra batteries. But what does this mean for me as a consumer? Okay, I bought this record with no single out because that's how much I trust her as an artist. I think that trust ends. I think if I am to buy another Taylor Swift product, it will be after I heard the record. Okay. That's how this record has shifted my relationship with her as a consumer. Thank you. Bye-bye.